Okay, we have a green box, we have a live counter. Going to assume that means we are live, or very soon will be.
Everybody, welcome to the Storytime Network's very own Paradox Hour, in which we talk Dresden Files again after God knows how long.
It's not been that long, I don't think.
Like
At least 2 months.
months.
It's been a bit.
When was it? Let me check when it was uploaded
Like
to the...
November.
Which, it's all fine and dandy, but wait, watch out, that duck has a knife!
Oh no. Oh no.
Oh god, it was October. Wow,
Yeah.
the actual stream was September, but... Whore.
Okay,
Yo,
yeah, it's been a hot
You
minute.
know how, like, a lot of games do their, like, release dates, like, season of a given year? I was looking at all those games that were, like, release date summer 2022, and I was like, wow, we're gonna have to wait another 3 years for that, and I'm just like, wait a second.
This pandemic has some things to our perception of time.
I'm just glad I'm not back in school where, you have to write the date at the top of the page in your notebook, and at the start of the new year you write last year's date by accident, because I'd still be writing fucking 2019.
Bro, at my job, we have a whiteboard where we have to like write up the date pretty much every day if you're a closer. And I've done it at least a dozen times so far just this month, where I've like written 2021 instead of 2022.
Yeah, it's just the way life works. For the first month, you will continue to write last year's date.
Exactly.
Yep.
But we're
Because
not.
the change over to the new year is meaningless.
Yeah, but we are not here to talk about the shittiness of time, basically.
Yeah, that's not until, like, 4 books from now.
Yeah.
3 books, actually.
We are here to talk about Dresden Files, and up first is Book 8, Proven Guilty, which, if you want to feel old, came out in 2006.
Oh, good lord.
Yep.
To be fair, I didn't start reading the Dresden Files books until like 2013 or so.
Put it this way, I distinctly remember reading changes right after it came out, and like not necessarily complaining, but just like telling my mum about the cliffhanger of epic proportions that book was. But that's for 2 podcast time. Yes, yeah, 2 podcasts. So yeah, Proven Guilty. It had big shoes to fill because Deadbeat was so good.
Yep.
Certainly, in my opinion.
Oh.
Go ahead, Jack.
I think Proven Guilty is a good follow-up, especially since it has very different stakes compared to Deadbeat. Deadbeat's a whole big save the city from a bunch of necromancers type deal, whereas Proven Guilty is a lot more...
It's a lot more personal. It's a lot more personal.
A lot more personal, yeah.
I will say, Molly is an adult in this book for the first time, and as a result, we can legally complain about her life choices.
No, she's not. She's 17. She's 17.
17.
Very specific.
But her boyfriend's like 20 or something, like according to the book.
She is emancipated, and as a result, I can complain about her life choices.
She's not emancipated.
Is she not? Is she not moved out of the... is it?
No, she's hiding it from her parents. She's hiding it from her parents. She changes into different outfits and shit.
Which gets, we get another sign of, Michael being the best Christian ever.
Yeah.
Michael is literally who everybody's father should be.
Because while he has, like, a shocked reaction upon first seeing her, as soon as he has a moment to think about it, he just goes, Harry, should I be shocked by this? I don't know
He's
why
like,
he
Harry,
asks.
I didn't do anything wrong, did I?
I don't know why he asks Harry of all people to comment on style and appearance, but
Well, it's because Harry's in with the new generation, apparently, according to
no,
Michael.
he's not.
Like to Michael, Harry is so in with the new generation, but he's not actually.
I mean, the point
Also,
is
aren't
that
Michael and Harry around the same age?
no, I think Michael is older than Harry.
Michael's a little older than Harry. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's
Michael
like
is good,
probably 5-10 years older
7
than him.
Yeah, I'd say 7 to 10 years older.
Yeah, he's older than Harry.
Because Harry, I'm fairly sure in what is it?
Like 25, 26.
Yeah, Harry in Ghost Peril is like mid to late 20s, I think.
Yep.
Maybe maybe early 30s at a push.
No, he's
No,
still in
he's like 26 or something in Stormfront.
Yeah.
He's like mid to late 20s in Stormfront. So by proven guilty, I think he's 32.
Early to mid.
Yeah,
He's early to mid 30s.
33.
So 26 years before Stormfront, Harry is born. So yeah, he's 26-ish in Stormfront. Add on, yeah.
Wait, was I
28.
was I right? Did you fact check that?
Yeah, because there's a timeline that's been written.
Oh, fuck!
That
I actually
lot.
I was like only kind of sure that I was right, but that's really cool.
So Stormfront, Harry is 25 because it's March of that year.
Yeah.
The following October is Full Moon, so he's 25, 26 there. And then a year later is Grave Peril, so he's 26, 27 in that book. And the thing is, Michael at that point has the vast majority of his kids.
Yeah, I think
His
Michael's
last kid is
five
born in that book.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
is
Michael's like
late
35
30s
in
at
that
that
book.
point.
Yeah.
I think he's like late 30s. That book. We don't know his exact age though. I don't think.
Michael is born 43 to 45 years before Stormfront.
Oh wow,
Really?
he's in his 40s.
That would make him like in his like mid 60s by the present day.
God works
No,
in mysterious ways.
He'd be in his late 50s, mid to late 50s by present day.
Damn. That is surprising.
Yeah,
To be fair, paladins do get bonuses to con, so it's not surprising that.
Fair enough.
Let's get into the actual meat and potatoes of the book.
okay, I have been once again
Let's get into
shanghaied.
the meat and potatoes, eh?
Once again shanghaied into giving a summary that I have not prepared for at all.
I don't think we're allowed to say that anymore.
Are we not?
I don't know, but like
I use it far too often then.
it has like very unfortunate historical connotations.
I know, but
It is what it is. Jokes be jokes.
it's
Yes, Mel, just lie back, think of England, and state the summary.
why do I have to think of England? England is a shithole.
I'm glad we all agree.
The
I
government,
mean, I'm not gonna fight you on that one.
the government literally got fucking convinced by a comedian's fake tweet.
Oh yeah.
I'm not even joking.
And
There's supposed to be a report about whether the government like broke COVID rules, and a comedian tweeted out a clearly fucking fake version of it that was like ended with the email it's all Sue Gravy baby at AOL.com, and there were still fucking AIDS MPs running around calling the MPs going, oh my god, the report's been leaked. That's how shit England's government is right now.
That is a total meme, though. That's hilarious.
Oh god.
I love it.
Anyway, the summary. So Harry is now a warden after the events of Deadbeat.
He's been drafted.
Yep. So now he has to watch a young kid get executed for breaking the laws of magic.
Fun times.
It was some kind of mind control thingy
Yeah,
that he used on his
mind control.
friends and family.
Look, decapitating children is fine as long as the children broke the law. Is the message that this book is trying to give us.
In fairness, even Dresden admits that the kid was way too far gone. But
so it's actually like
his issue is more with the fact that the council doesn't go out of its way to actually like teach any of these kids what's happening.
To paint the picture, though, the kid was wearing a fucking hood the whole time, so Dresden never saw his face. But right up to the point where he was gonna get his head cut off, he kind of started raving mad, like a total lunatic. So, yeah, that's kind of the picture of what happened to that kid.
Now, there is an important thing to note here. The laws of magic are not there for no reason, because there is actually a tangible effect that breaking them has. It's not like...
Yeah.
It's not like...
And that is what's implied there, I think.
It's not like...
No, it's outright
breaking
stated, I'm fairly sure.
Yeah, so it's not like they're just doing it to be tyrannical. It's literally if you break the laws of magic enough, it breaks your soul.
Yeah.
Yeah, it corrupts your soul.
And again,
to a pretty heavy degree.
Again, Harry's issue is not with the execution itself. It is the fact that it had to happen because nobody taught the kid like what magic was.
Basically,
and what
the White Council has a big problem. Like, their standards are a little bit too high in that they refuse to even interact with anyone who does not pass their bar of what is considered a wizard.
Yeah, they're pretty elite.
And that starts becoming an issue in these two books.
Yeah, their cutoff point eliminates a lot of people who can still use magic to pretty devastating effect simply because they're not as strong or comprehensive.
I would argue that it's not even that. It's the fact that they don't go out looking for young practitioners. They just wait for them
to come to them.
The council, yeah.
Yeah. They wait for them to stumble across.
Because that's the thing. As we'll get into in this book, Molly is a council level or potentially a council level practitioner, but they just ignore her until she, starts breaking the laws and then stumbles across Dresden.
Exactly. Yep. They don't notice practitioners until they break the laws of magic, and then they execute them because they're breaking the laws of magic. So it's this vicious cycle.
So what you're telling me is that this millennia-old oligarchy has major bureaucratic problems?
I know, shocking, right?
Yeah. Anyway,
what a twist.
We've gotten off topic from the summary. So yeah, kid is executed. Harry is asked by Ebenezer to find out why these the Fey courts aren't, putting the smackdown on the Red Court for encroaching on their territory, and the gatekeeper asks that Harry investigate some black magic that's going on in Chicago. Unfortunately,
I love Rashid so much. Every time we mention him, I'm going to say this.
No, the gatekeeper
He's my
is
favorite
great.
council member.
The gatekeeper,
so great.
The gatekeeper is great. He eventually, while he's trying to search for this black magic, he gets interrupted by a phone call from Molly Carpenter, Michael's oldest daughter.
Second oldest child.
No.
Third
Doesn't he
oldest,
have a?
child.
Yeah, he has like
third
a daughter
child.
who's already married and gone out of the house.
No.
No.
Does he not have
Molly is his oldest.
Molly is his oldest child.
Okay, but then the second oldest daughter, I'm pretty sure, got married and went off somewhere.
I don't think so.
Like later in the series. I distinctly remember that Michael has a daughter who is married.
Are you sure?
I don't know.
No.
Someone check the wiki.
I'm
I'm not at
checking
a
now.
computer right now.
Consult the wiki.
Hopefully, no spoilers incoming. Like
Look,
that
Michael
could
has
be
way
that
too
could be
many
way
kids to
further
keep
down the
track of.
line than you're thinking, Fuzzy.
I don't
That is
think
true.
that's the case.
But yeah, Michael has way too many kids to keep track of. We can all agree on that, at least, right?
Oh, he has what? He is very clearly Catholic. He has way too many kids.
No, well, actually, to be fair, they're clearly still doing it after book 3, but they don't have any more kids after book 3. So either Michael is very good at like timing, if you know what I'm saying, or they do start using protection at some point.
He got his
Or
tubes
maybe he
tied.
just use a calendar.
Yeah, no, that was what Fuzzy was implying with the former explanation.
No. Timing, I was implying something entirely different.
There are 7 kids.
Parting the Red Sea?
There are 7 kids. Molly is the oldest, then Daniel, then Matthew, then Alicia, Amanda, Hope, and Harry. Alicia is the next oldest girl. But
I distinctly... Okay, what am I thinking of then?
Daniel is the one that gets
Are you thinking
married,
of Murphy's family?
No, maybe I'm thinking of Daniel, then.
yeah, Daniel is married with his first child on the way as of peace talks.
Okay, yeah, so I might just be thinking of Daniel.
That is spoilery. We should not...
To be fair, no one cares about Daniel. Let's be real, no one cares about Daniel.
It's not like it's a big reveal.
It's not really.
Yeah, he is Michael's son, character. So you think once he becomes of age, he's like already on the hunt for that wifey?
I mean, he did.
Anyway, please,
okay,
please, if you're gonna ask me to do it, stop interrupting me.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's gonna take all stream.
I could promise, but that would be a lie.
Fine, if you interrupt, I'll just mute you.
Oh, okay.
I have the power as the server owner. So Harry is interrupted from searching for the black magic by Molly asking to be bailed out, but it's actually her boyfriend. Because of this, he ends up investigating SplatterCon, a horror movie convention, in which phobophages, fear predators from the Fae, I think.
They eat your fear.
Yeah, they cause fear and they attack the fear. So, he sets out to protect the convention from those. Meanwhile, he also talks to the Summer Knight and both ladies, and apparently Mab is acting all weird for some reason, which is,
You're forgetting the small detail that the Summer Lady and the Summer Knight are old friends of Harry at this point.
Yeah, we know that, because it got mentioned at the end of Summer Night.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
just a reminder.
It's Fix and Lily from Summer Night.
Exactly.
In between, in between this investigation and fighting off the phobophages, at one point, eventually sending them off to their summoner, he gets kidnapped along with good old Officer Rawlins by Madrigal Wraith, Thomas's cousin, who is kind of the, I'd say, grey sheep of the family. Because Thomas is absolutely the black sheep, but while Madrigal isn't, like a big member of the family, he's not, like, he's foregone their usual method of feeding.
See, well, no, because, Thomas is an outcast because he's less of a dick than the rest of the family. Madrigal's an outcast because he's more of a dick than the rest of the family.
Yeah, Madrigal feeds on...
That's a good way to put it.
Madrigal feeds on fear, is the point.
I always imagine him, I talked about this before we went live, but I always imagine him as like Patrick Bateman from American Psycho.
You have 2 seconds before you're muted.
Sorry.
I will rule with an iron fist on this. I have another summary after this to get through.
Proceed.
After escaping with the help of Mouse and Thomas, he discovers that he had actually sent the phobophages after Molly, who turns out to be a practitioner, and they have taken her to the Never Never. Harry then leads an assault on Arctis Tor, basically Mab's stronghold, to get Molly back with the help of Thomas, Murphy, and Charity. Molly's mother, of course. And they discover that Arctis Tor has already been assaulted and kind of defeated, considering that there is no garrison and the gates are open. They eventually rescue Molly with the help of some good old summer fire at the from Lily, which does, achieve the goal of rescuing Molly, but also sends every Winter Fae in Fairy rushing to Arctis Tor, which is, quite bad for Harry.
Mm-hmm.
They do manage to escape, but, Harry being Harry and being a warden now, he does have to report the fact that Molly has in fact been using magic that breaks the laws of magic. Specifically, the law that the executed boy in the first chapter broke. Mind magic. Yeah. So he's forced to take a trial. He has some plans to get her out of it. They don't work because he underestimated the fact that the Merlin has a shit ton of pride that Harry just, pounded.
Pounded.
But thankfully, as it turns out, Michael, who had been sent off on a mission, arrives just in time to reveal that he had been sent to help out members of the White Council, specifically the Senior Council, who arrived just in time to vote to allow Molly to fall under the Doom of Damocles with Harry as a mentor.
Oh, don't forget, the only reason that they managed to get there in time to stop the vote was because Rashid stalled.
Yes, because Rashid is the best.
No, Rashid is the best member of the White Council, period.
He literally just sits there. He just sits there and just deliberating in inverted commas while the Merlin just gets more and more impatient.
And I just love the fact that this is probably Rashid's fifth Merlin.
Yeah.
Because with
the time dilation, yeah.
Yeah, so he's just I guarantee this is not the first time he's made a Merlin want to murder him.
Oh, 100%. So yeah, Harry is now Molly's mentor, forces her to return to her parents' home, and Dresden and Ebenezer agree that there is an unknown group coordinating events from afar, which they have dubbed the Black Council.
Dun, dun, dun!
There, you may talk to your heart's content.
Really?
But the fact is that it's taken us nearly 25 minutes to get through the summary.
To be fair, we did cover a lot of content in those 25 minutes. It's not
I
like we
know.
just
we didn't interrupt for no reason.
But still.
There were just a lot of digressions even before the summary.
Oh. Well,
So can we yell at Molly for her life choices now?
Yeah.
I mean, you can try.
We didn't even talk about the fact that she's got piercings and tattoos and shit
That's
at the
fine.
age of 17.
That's fine. That is not.
Who gives a
That's
shit?
that's totally cool and all.
About.
That's totally cool and all. And it's just
It's
the fact
fucking around with the powers possibly complicated.
Yeah,
powers fucking around with all that shit. That's what the problem is.
Yeah, so it's
all the other
just
stuff is just supposed to be indicative of it, which is, I guess, the stylistic choice that Butcher chose to do.
Look,
to be fair,
she's supposed to look like a rebel and a punk. Is all I'm saying.
To be fair, for someone we met when she was in middle school, Butcher does tend. Okay, so Butcher has this uncomfortable tendency to the moment someone is even remotely legal, horning them up.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, that's not even what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like the piercings and the tattoos are just indicative that she's like fucking rebel.
Yeah, but like Butcher
Like
does.
that's not something that's average in your Christian Catholic household.
Actually, I would say that it's probably proportionately higher.
Yeah, it's getting more popular, that's for sure. But I
No,
think
no,
at the
I
time
mean
that
like,
the
Well,
book
no,
was
it's like
written,
a whole rebelliousness against
yeah,
like
I
the
feel
whole
like,
conformity.
yeah, I
exactly.
feel like the super religious households would have a relatively higher proportion of people who make those stylistic choices just for the sake of rebellion.
Fair enough.
No,
And maybe
I
that's representative of it with Molly, but
no.
yeah.
Look, the point is with Molly is the fact that unlike the kid from the first chapter who got executed, who genuinely did not know any better, Molly has a literal like walking, talking encyclopedia of magical knowledge that she can go to, and she doesn't.
And her dad is a literal paladin who has a more or less direct line to capital G God.
Yes.
Yep.
Which you'd think she would be able to leverage that somehow. Like, be like, hey, Dad, can we get, like, some sort of divine intervention or, like, something to get
be
me some
fair,
teaching? And just...
To be
But
fair, that's not the way it
no.
works. That's not the way it works. They can't just go, hey, God, can you give us this thing? And it happens. No, that's not the way it works.
Okay, to be fair,
What we mean.
I had the feeling if Michael asked, there would be some negotiations.
Yes.
Very possible.
Right? I feel like they'd make an exception for Michael.
Also, I'd like to point out that it probably wouldn't be God himself. It would be a certain
Probably
angel.
one of the archangels.
It will be. It
One of
would
the-
probably
yeah.
be a certain angel that we have not met yet.
You know what? I'm still trying. I'm still wanting to talk about Magical Wraith trying to sell Harry on eBay.
Oh yeah, that's
'Cause
great.
just funny.
This just the realization you're selling me on eBay.
That was a funny thing.
Also, the
It's one
fact
of those-
that... Go ahead.
It's one of the things that just crosses the line twice for me.
I feel like the even better part is the fact that these colossal titans of the ancient magical world have eBay accounts.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Right? It's just like, Magical is understandable because he's relatively young, but the people he's selling to are like ancient vampires and gods and demons and fae, and they're
like
all
fuckers
just like...
more than 2 centuries old, for real. At least.
Yeah, and they're just sitting at like a desktop with a CRT monitor because those were still the thing in 2006, and just like constantly refreshing the eBay page, waiting to put their bids in.
Yeah, because that's the thing. It's not just Madrigal putting Harry up for sale on eBay. Fucking the Duchess Ortega.
There's a marketplace for that shit.
The Duchess Ortega is bidding on him.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he's like, what, like 700 years old or something, right? No, 600.
She is incredibly old. Yes, as we find out later.
Look,
Look,
Yeah,
let's be real.
He's
There's
older
prob-
than the conquistadors, that's for sure.
Let's be real. There's probably at least 1 or 2 gods bidding on eBay as well for Harry Dresden, just for shits and giggles.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised.
100% Odin.
Nah, Odin wouldn't join in on that because he'd know better than to waste money on that.
I forget
Right?
when the bidding got up super hairy
I don't think
before he broke out.
I don't think we actually get any specific numbers, but
You know what? I would have loved to...
Madrigal does tell his servant to start building more tax shelters, which implies quite a high price.
Probably
See-
a couple $100 million.
Yeah, you know what's funny? I get the feeling it would be funnier if he'd had a chance to look at the price and it was like not even at the 5 digits yet, and he'd be like super offended.
And Madrigal was just
Yeah.
saying it to fuck with him.
And it's just like,
That
y'all are paying like $2,000 for me? Is that all I'm worth to you?
Start
feel
building new
like-
tax shelters. We got a payday of $5,000 coming in.
But yeah, also, this implies that if they don't build tax shelters, they would actually have to follow tax laws.
Yeah.
Which just... Okay, then.
Hey, monsters
Yes.
have to deal with taxes too, apparently.
But yeah, I'm basically like, unlike the kids who just jump in are thrown into the deep end, Molly literally has a paladin dad and a wizard uncle, and there is no reason she could not reach out for some guidance. She just chooses not to.
I'll tell you the reason. Puberty.
Okay, that's a very good point, but still.
No, for real though, like guys and girls, like they kind of just, when puberty hits, they try to become independent people and distance themselves from their parents so they can be or feel like they're being that independent person. So they don't tell them
The
shit
whole
like,
rebellious
"Oh, by the way,
teenage
I can
phase.
do magic." They keep that shit from their parents because fucking who knows why.
Wait,
But
don't we also get the reveal in this book that Charity is a practitioner was a practitioner,
Yes.
and that's where she gets it from?
Yes.
yes.
Yep.
And she was rescued
yeah.
from a dragon by Michael, and that's more or less how they met.
And that is
And
just the
decided to get
most
married.
Catholic. That's just the most Catholic meet
Yeah.
cute. For,
It's a
like,
Catholic wet dream.
He's-
It is.
he's
You can say
literally
it.
a holy knight who rescues a sorceress
maiden.
from a dragon, a fair maiden who is a sorceress from a dragon, and then converts her.
Yep.
Yep.
That
Marries
is
her,
just
pumps
like
7 kids out of her.
look. I get that. Look, Charity is a strong, independent woman who should not be like.
She don't need no man. She don't need
there's
no man.
there's no objectification of her. She has a chainmail and a freaking mace at the end of the book. I love that her choice of weapon is just a heavy, blunt object.
Yeah.
Well,
She's a
maces are
badass.
like-
There's no question about it. She's a badass.
Also, I'm not sure if it's in this book, but we do get we are told that magical practicing is much more likely to be passed down matrilineally than patrilineally.
Yeah, it is
I think
discussed
it
in
is
this,
this
and that's
book.
how Harry figures out that it was Charity that passed down the gift to Molly.
Mm.
Though, to be fair, it could have skipped a generation, so he wouldn't have necessarily been completely right.
But he was. So the other thing
He had a
is
good
that
chance.
the other thing that's great in this book is we are properly introduced to Rollins in this book because he did
Who
actually
is just great.
Yeah.
appear in Deadbeat as just a I think just as a nameless cop, but then Harry recognized him in this book. And yes, he is great because at the horror movie convention,
Yeah, the name tags.
they're all given name tags. Harry, which read "Hello, I'm," and then you write your name in. Harry writes an innocent bystander, and Rollins writes an authority figure.
Yep. Same
I-
sense of humor.
I
Yep.
definitely feel like he should have written Too Old for This Shit. Because that is his character.
Pretty
That
More
is
or less.
Rollins' character, except he actually lives.
Yeah.
And he's a little plumper.
Like, is it introduced in this book, his history?
No, I don't believe so.
Not quite yet.
Okay, but when you get to his history, it like makes a lot of sense. But yeah,
He is
I
too
don't
old for this shit.
I think it is introduced in this book. You know.
Not really, no.
I think it's more relevant to Ghost Story.
Yeah, it happens around Ghost Stories when you find out part of his backstory.
I don't think so. I think it happened. I think it's told in this book.
Well, we don't have to go into it right now.
Yeah, but basically, we get a decent number of character introductions that are kind of fun. Like this is really this is the book where Molly becomes relevant.
Yes.
So you can consider that a character introduction for her as well.
Mm-hmm.
I just
Like
like
she's introduced as a
why.
minor character earlier, but now
Yeah,
she's major.
just why does Butcher have to go full on male gaze with the kids?
Yeah,
Like
that's an unfortunate thing.
yeah, like later in the series, this is not really a spoiler. He gets very male gazy with Alicia too, who is in high school at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Eh.
Right?
Mhm.
Which is just like it's like, and then there's a later in the series. I'm not gonna spoil who it is, but there's a point when a character who was introduced as a child is now legal, and he spends like a paragraph describing how hot she is, and it's
Oh
first
God.
person, and it's first person from the perspective of what is essentially her dad.
Yep, I remember.
Describing how
Oh,
hot she is
yeah,
because she's legal now. I'm just like,
yeah.
I. It's not quite. Speaking of Stephen King, basically phobophages are lesser versions of it.
Mm.
Mm.
And
In a
yeah, I
way.
mentioned Stephen King because he doesn't quite get to prepubescent orgy in the sewers, but like it's just like, please,
Mm.
there's no need for this. Why do you do this?
Look, we've said it before, and we'll probably say it again. Dresden's male gaze is probably the worst part of the series.
And no, but the thing is, it's we can confirm it's Butcher because it doesn't only happen when it's Dresden's perspective.
It's primarily when he's using the perspective of male characters, but yeah.
Well,
I
anyway,
think again, I think the point is that it's meant to be, the noir trope shit because it doesn't happen in Codex, and I'm fairly sure it doesn't happen in Aeronauts Windless.
Yeah.
he does talk a lot about how hot characters are in Codex.
Yeah, but that's more from the point. I think most of what we get there is not from Tavi's point of view.
Well, no, that's why I said it's not a character problem; it's a Butcher problem.
Fair enough.
Uh, Also, we are not touching on the very awkward scene at the end of this book.
Which one?
Is this not the book where
This is the book where Molly gets naked at the end and tries to come on to Harry. Yes.
yes, yeah, so it's just
Yep.
like,
And he winds up dumping cold water on her head to get her to back the
but
fuck
at the
off.
same time he is talking about how he's having to resist temptation. I'm just like, she's a 17-year-old girl who you've watched grow up, and
Should
that's
not be hard,
just
Harry.
it should
It should
not be as hard.
Well, it's like,
Multiple meanings of that phrase. It should not be hard.
well, it's like, it's kind of. I get what Butcher was trying to do, but it was way too much. It was
Right?
too much.
Way overboard.
It's like, just like, that's not, and not in a good way.
No.
Like, Dresden Files is good at doing way too much in a good way, but like that was just no.
On to less gross
Gross.
stuff.
Yes.
I do like all the horror shoutouts that happen during SplatterCon. Especially like
There was
the
a xenomorph.
xenomorph. The fucking xenomorph. Complete
We're
with
not
the
legally allowed to
iconic
call
line-
it that.
Complete with the iconic line from Aliens.
Yes, but legally we're not allowed to call it that.
Why?
Okay,
Yes.
okay, we will say that it was an unnamed movie monster with a black carapace, serrated tail, feline agility, double jaws, and acidic blood. Is that better?
Did they not make a copyright joke in this book?
I am pretty sure they did at some point.
They might have probably.
Yeah, that was what I was referencing.
Oh.
Where Harry's like, yeah, it's a thing that is definitely not a xenomorph or something like that. In the same way that Frieza's third form is definitely not a xenomorph.
Yeah, fact.
I forget how they eventually got rid of the phages.
I'm pretty sure Harry just killed most of them.
Oh, right. There was no like extended power of like belief montage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he more or less just tried to bulldoze them as best he could,
Set them on fire and such.
more or less.
It's
Yeah,
kind of surprising to me how effective setting things on fire is in the Dresden Files universe.
I
Yeah.
believe
fire
he
is
still
a
has his
pretty common
blasting rod at this
weakness.
point, so he was just like spamming the fuck out of it.
Also, can we just talk about the fact that it's a miracle that Harry and Butcher did not make 400 different jokes involving the blasting rod?
Yeah.
And then I started blasting.
I'm willing.
No, it would have been a very different kind of joke.
I'm willing to bet
We know
Harry.
Harry is not up to the odd memes.
I know.
I'm willing to bet Harry made all of the jokes like pre Stormfront, and by the time Stormfront came around, he was tired of them all.
That would not be surprising.
I would not be surprised if Ebenezer just yeeted him at some point with telekinesis
Yeah.
because of the constant blasting rod jokes.
That would be funny and would be in character.
So yeah, does he have his rings yet? Or ring, rather?
Yes,
think
I believe so.
while.
Yeah.
I think he has one, right? At the moment?
I know he uses it during White Knight, I believe.
Yeah, I don't think he gets them until White Knight.
Okay.
Also, I'm just trying to remember like the whole thing involving the phobophages is incredibly screwy, and it's actually one of the few times where I don't think we actually get a proper answer as to what the fuck happened there.
How so?
In the like, we never actually learn who is sending the phages.
Yeah, it's
was
hinted that it's
magical,
either
wasn't it?
Mab or Maeve. No, Mab or Maeve are doing it. The phases are Winterfell.
Yeah, because they are very certainly the boss phage, the Scarecrow, is very important, but there's never actually any confirmation as to who sent them.
Oh no, it's definitely
Yeah,
Maeve.
Eldest Scarecrow
It's definitely
is
Maeve.
basically Eldest Scarecrow is basically the Scarecrow is basically an equivalent to one of the Gruffs from the Summer Court, which we will get into when we discuss book 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say I can't wait for that.
That's gonna be a fun one.
Was that book 10 or 11?
What other big details were in
Book
book
10.
8?
I mean, the fact is, this all could have been planned by capital G God, considering the end of the book.
Yes, but no. The thing I was saying about she could have gone to her dad for help is just like if she had mentioned it even in passing to her dad, I'm sure he would have gotten a mission where he just happened to stumble upon a lair of evil wizards that have like a beginner's guide to magic, like comprehensively written down in a textbook. I'm sure that would have happened, and he was just like, this would be useful for my beginner wizard daughter.
It could happen that way, but that doesn't really like advance the plot.
It also
this had to happen.
Again, look. Capital G God does like provide a lot to the knights, but that wouldn't have been in any way connected to his role as a knight, and so most likely wouldn't have happened.
No, because like
as you would probably say, that is a you problem, fam.
No, because like
there's also the issue of free will in here as well.
Well, no, but like there is the thing where any wizard who has as much potential as Molly is a potential major player who could. Because remember that it's not necessarily only the Denarians that where capital G God and the Knights get involved. Right? It's any subversion of free will, and I feel like any divine subversion of free will, rather, because like mortals are allowed to subvert free will because that is an expression of their own free will, which is kind of, it's a whole paradox of tolerance right there, but then there's also the slippery slope effect. But like, knights are allowed to get involved in other stuff as well, and those other things tend to involve powerful wizards as well. Because there's a lot of overlap between the White Council and the Knights, as much as they have differing ideologies.
In terms that they both hunt down warlocks a lot.
Not just warlocks, generally things that go bump in the night.
Yeah.
I don't think the
vampires
Knights actually,
too. I think vampires are a big thing too.
I'm almost certain the Knights don't go around hunting down warlocks.
No, they do not. But unless the warlock is a pawn of some sort of divine being that's trying to subvert free will.
Yeah, they go after the fallen angel Denarian demons, and then they also go after like the normal run-of-the-mill demons too.
Basically, the thing is, you have to remember that while the knights are like, they get a lot of benefits and prestige, they are still chess pieces in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So,
also, like, I'm pretty sure this whole book was Mab just styling over everyone with her chess mastery.
It is implied to be the case, yes.
Yeah.
And possibly, like, to be fair, except at the end where it's capital G God styling on everyone. Or specifically styling on the White Council, let's be real.
White Council tend to get dunked on by better chess masters throughout the series, to be fair.
And that's mainly because the White Council is, they are not a unified organization.
Mm-hmm.
They're too much of a bureaucracy.
They're much more bureaucratic than focused on manipulation and subversion.
Well, no, they try to focus on manipulation and subversion. It's just they're not as good at it.
It's like Map could just walk in and school them easily and come away with it just like having spent only used up like 10 minutes of her day.
And I mean, this just comes down to it's immortals versus mortals. Even though wizards live longer than your average person.
Well, no, we also have Marcone, who also
Marconi.
Okay. We have Marcone, who's also very high. He's also a very skilled chess master, and he's just straight up vanilla mortal.
Yeah, he's also just like a prodigy at that stuff. Apparently, from what the books kind of tell me at least, is just he's just kind of a prodigy at the political game of it.
Mm-hmm.
Is this the one with the brothel, or is the next one the one with the brothel?
Brothel?
No. The brothel, I think, is...
What do you mean by brothel?
Marcone's brothel thing.
You mean the health
club? Or his fitness club. Yeah,
yes,
the
fitness club.
That's next book.
Yeah, because
I think that's White Knight.
When does Harry get Hellfire?
That's this book? Last book.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Does he use that? Can he be proven guilty?
I think he uses it against the unspecified black monster thing.
Yes. And he does recognize it as having been used at Arctis Tor.
Which hints that something demonic was involved in the raid on Arctis Tor.
Yeah.
Well,
there's demonic and then there's demonic. Like, we've talked about this before, but like...
I'm fairly sure it was confirmed that Hellfire is only used by Denarians. Or Denarian people.
Yeah, because like, there's two flavors of demon. Like, in this universe. Like, the most common ones are actually just
creatures from the Never Never, yeah.
Yeah, they're just fae.
They're like fae demons.
Essentially. Yeah, they're like, the more common demons are fae.
I don't think they're fae. They're not fae, but they're from the Never
adjacent.
Never. They're from the Never Never.
Yes.
They aren't the only Never Never creatures.
They're just the main ones.
They're the main ones in this cycle, because as we've established before, apparently it cycles, and which part of the Never Never is closest to the human world indicates which faction, or which cultural mythology, essentially, is the dominant one.
Mm-hmm.
Aren't the Fae amongst the closest?
They are the closest at the moment, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently this was not always the case and will not always be the case in the future.
I mean, yeah,
Makes
the
sense.
the Fae have a big boost thanks to Brothers Grimm as well at the moment.
Right, which apparently do we learn about the trickery that was pulled with the Brothers Grimm?
I don't think we learn about it in this book. I don't think we learn about it properly until Cold Days.
Okay, fair enough. But yeah, so basically, long story short, the Fae are dominant right now, but they weren't always and won't always be.
Yeah.
That
there's
about
another thing to talk about.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
We got a cool little reveal regarding Michael, or specifically his sword. It's Excalibur.
Oh yeah, no, he's just King Arthur up in here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
literally slays a dragon.
yeah,
I don't think King Arthur slays a dragon in Arthurian lore.
Let's be real, King Arthur's kind of useless. Like his whole thing is never really
How
like
dare.
he pulled out a sword. Huh?
How dare.
Okay. Are you really?
Don't make fun of the once and future king of Britain.
Because
Bill will
like
be.
He'll come out eventually. He'll come out eventually.
yeah, but like
I've seen people joke that he'll return
Like-
the moment Charles takes the throne.
Like
That's
the second
not-
coming of Jesus Christ to you people. What the hell?
to be fair, what's he gonna do if he comes out? He's gonna wave his sword at the submachine gun? Like
Well,
Yes.
To be fair, like receiving a sword from some lady in a lake is not a good way of forming a government, to quote Monty Python.
Shut up.
to be fair, also we're saying that phrase way too much.
To be fair.
Seriously, I'm actually serious about this. What did King Arthur do, like, combat-wise? He basically just fought a bunch of dudes, and that's it. He
I
didn't
believe
really...
he mutual killed Mordred.
Yeah, who was, like... Not... No, because he got bitten by a snake by Mordred. No, that was
we are
someone
off
else.
topic. We are off topic.
But yes, basically we learned that it's literally the... his sword is Excalibur.
Yes.
Yep. I don't know if we learn about the historic identities of the other two swords at this point, but they do come up later. But we haven't talked about the trial much.
I forget who
Molly's
exactly
trial.
voted which way.
At the start, it was literally just Merlin and she.
Yeah. Yeah, nobody else was there, so Merlin had all the proxies and was going to vote against. Rashid was there and then, stalled like a motherfucker to let Martha Liberty, Listens to Wind, and Ebenezer come through.
He
believe it was all three
filibustered
of
the
them,
fuck
and then-
out of it.
Those three and Rashid voted, to spare. We've also got the fact that Ramirez called the Merlin a senile bastard to his face.
That is ballsy.
Ramirez is
To be
great.
fair, well, again, why am I saying this? Okay, here's the thing, though. The Merlin is surprisingly cool-headed most of the time. Right?
Yeah.
He's
he also isn't, always unreasonable. He was absolutely correct about the kid at the beginning who was way too far gone to be reasoned with.
And he's like... The dude is trying his best.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he's just a bit too stuck in his ways.
Again,
a little
the point is, and Harry even says it himself, is the fact that while Harry's plan was well thought out, what he did wrong is that he showed the Merlin up instead of stroking his ego. And the Merlin is absolutely petty enough to execute Molly, to just show Dresden not to fuck with him.
Yeah, but I think even if he was fully aware of that option and he knew that was the smarter option, he still wouldn't have done it. Dresden just like
I don't
lives
know.
to fuck with authority.
Yeah,
He
but
just
no, no, no,
lives
no,
to
no, no,
give the
no,
middle
no.
finger to authority.
He is when he's the one in the firing line. I don't think he would have done it with Molly's life on the line.
Mm.
Yeah,
Fair point.
he plays fast and loose with his own life, but he tends to be as careful as possible when it involves the lives of others. That's kind of his
Yeah.
whole sacrificial hero mindset thing
No,
he's got going
I'm
on.
like
His
100%.
chivalry.
I'm 100%
It's like
certain he would have actually, taken it seriously.
yeah, because Harry is very much not someone with an excess of pride to the point that he would value his pride over the lives of people he cares about.
Mm-hmm.
He does have a bit of an ego, but then Butcher goes out of his way to crush it as thoroughly as possible once every 2 books or so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's also fun is just how much everything just comes together for the trial to turn out the way it does. Because, so what happens was the Harry, using Summerfire in the Winter Wellspring, called all of the Winter Fae to Arctis Tour. What they were, the Winter Fae were in the middle of standoff with the Summer Fae, which prevented the Summer Fae from moving. Once the Winter Fae left, the Summer Fae came in and rescued a bunch of White Council members, including 3 of the Senior Council, and they were all assisted by Michael as well.
Yeah, they only those 3 members of the senior council only lasted as long as they did to get the rescue because the knights were there.
Okay, so
Yeah.
here's the sequence of event as I remember them. So Michael is sent to wherever the fuck it is, where the camp with
It's like
the
Oregon or something.
yeah,
Training camp,
I
yeah.
think it is Oregon with the training camp with the mini wizards and Lucio and all
Lucia.
that, and listens to Wind and Ebony's and whatever the fuck. Red Court attack. Michael helps them in driving them up as they try to escape through the Never Never. They're going through the Never Never, being attacked by the Red Court and I believe outsiders as well.
Yeah, outsiders get mentioned.
Harry and his group do the raid, set off the Summer Fire. Winter Court go running. Summer Court are then freed up to basically, at the very least, hold off the Red Court and the outsiders, which allows, Michael and Ebenezer's group to get away.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, this entire trial is capital G God styling on the Merlin.
Yep. Oh,
Yep.
absolutely.
But yeah, it's important to note that this indicates that, technically speaking, Harry's interests align with the majority voting power of the Senior Council, which is a scary thought.
Yeah.
Because Martha Liberty listens to Wind, Ebenezer, and Rashid are basically all in the more... And it makes sense when you think about their personalities, but they're very much in the less conservative, more proactive camp
Yes.
of the Senior Council.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, they're relatively younger as well. Like, I think, like, Martha Liberty is only, like, 200 or 250 years old, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think she's one of the younger ones on the Senior Council.
She was involved in the Underground Railroad.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Ebenezer and Listens to Wind were both around. Well, I know Ebenezer was around for the French and Indian War, and I think Listens to Wind isn't much younger than him.
Ebenezer and the Merlin were both born around 1700.
Okay. So Ebenezer is over 300 years old.
Yeah.
And
Ancient Maya
also...
is over 400.
Yeah, there's something... It's very heavily implied that there's something going on with Ancient Mai. She's, like, there's a surprising amount of plot threads that even, like, 17 books in, we are have not been resolved.
Yeah.
But, like, yeah, Ancient Mai is technically older than should be possible for a wizard. Because, like, I believe a wizard's lifespan tends to be 400 to 450 tops. And Ancient Mai is, like, at least 600 years old, I think.
We don't know her exact age, but she is the second oldest on the senior council after Rashid.
Mm-hmm.
And, but the difference is that there's no time dilation shenanigans with her. That we know of.
That's it.
That we know of,
Yeah.
As
Yeah,
said, it's just given as
I believe
before,
she's
before
a
1600.
jade dragon or something like that.
Who the fuck knows? But again, we're...
I feel like... Okay,
This
yes,
is
go ahead.
massive speculation. There's no...
That's actually what it was in the horrible, horrible Dresden Files TV show, but they also made her hot.
Yeah.
Because, like, she's described as a wrinkled old lady in the books, and they made her a hot young woman.
28-year-old hottie,
Yeah.
yes.
Yes, so it's just like...
But yeah, so this book is very much it's very much the manipulations of capital G God, Mab, and Rashid all working together somehow. Rashid is in on this as
to
well.
ensure the best outcome.
I'm willing to bet money that Rashid has more than incidental contact with at least one archangel.
That would not be surprising, and I think I know which one is the most likely.
Oh, yes, we all know which one is the most likely. Let's be real. He's kind of the PR guy. He is the PR guy of the archangels.
Somehow.
Someone has to do it. But yeah, I'm pretty sure there's a very high amount of overlap between Rashid's job and the general plans of capital G God. So while it has not been explicitly mentioned, I'm willing to bet money that that's the case.
Okay, so let me think.
I think we've covered all there is to cover.
2 more things. First, the whole Bucky the Murder Doll thing.
Yes.
Which was hilarious, just because of how much they shit on it. The second one, what was the second one? There was definitely a second one that I wanted to mention. Oh, that's right, Leia.
Right. I love her whole bit where she's like, I'm innocent, free me, free me.
Yeah, so...
And Harry just does not buy it for a second.
So, yeah.
To be fair, I don't think Harry would have freed her even if she was innocent.
Probably not.
So, it is... they find Leia frozen in ice in the garden, and she appears to go between two personalities, her normal one and a more, let's say, crazy one, which is saying something given the general personality of the Lenanshi.
Though I need to stop saying those 3 words. I feel like the more normal one might have been the fake one.
Probably.
The
implication up with Leia.
The implication is that whenever she is described as speaking with a mad gleam in her eyes, it is the other personality. Now, I will say that all 4 of us know who that is, but we are not going to share it. All we will say is that it is foreshadowing for a later book.
Didn't they also find the former Winter Knight crucified to a tree?
They did find Lloyd Slate crucified and give a quite explicit description of the torture he's gone through. It is not nice. Do not piss off Mab.
Don't piss off Mab.
I mean, he deserves it. Like he's like a complete piece of garbage.
Traitor. He's a filthy traitor.
Oh no, not because of that. Like I don't care if he betrays every fairy queen in the market, but he's like also a rapist.
Yeah, well, that definitely. But
yeah, because let's be real, the military are kind of dicks as well, so I don't really see that much of a problem betraying them most of the time, but, like, he do be a rapist. So, yes.
So the issue what Mab has isn't that he was a traitor, it was that he was a traitor to her.
Oh, yeah. The other thing is that there are other things trapped in the garden, which have been revealed by Butcher in a Q&A.
AMA, yeah.
So we've got Vlad Tepes and his lover who never wanted to be parted.
Yep.
We have Cardinal Richelieu.
Yep.
We have Anansi, who will apparently escape at one point and get his revenge on Mab.
It's Anansi, of course he's going to escape.
That is Anansi's whole thing, yes. Like, I would not be surprised if being captured was the part of the plan in the first place. He's one of the most prolific trickster gods in history.
Yeah. It's like him, Loki, and Hermes and Coyote, basically.
Hermes is not even, like, in the same tier as the other three.
True. Hermes is
right. Like,
when we
there's
got
no
Greek
the
mythology,
Greeks.
though.
The Greeks too. Like, they all have like sticks up their butts, which coincidentally makes them horny all the time. So they don't have the chance to be as trickstery.
Anyway, and of the three ladies that are standing back to back, two of them are women who were burned at the stake as witches, but that Mab rescued, and the third is, I'm fairly sure, Mab herself, who was just there keeping an eye on things.
Yep. I mean, she does. The statue does wink at Harry. So.
Yeah.
That's a lot more playful than we usually see from Mab. She's not really been a winking sort of person.
So again,
there are flashes of it throughout. I think that she is a little bit.
Yeah, it's the continuation of what Maeve said at Max Bar, that Mab is not acting as she usually does and is quite possibly insane.
I mean, I wouldn't call any of the Fae sane by mortal standards, but I get what they're going for.
Yes, but I'm fairly sure Maeve is saying that Mab is insane by Fae standards.
The reassuring part is that may not be a bad thing for Harry. Or for humans in general. Because what she could be doing is she could be acting in the favor of humankind, and that's insane to fairies.
We don't know. We at this point
we don't know. There's no way to know.
At this point in the books, we just do not know. But yeah, that's all I've got for Proven Guilty. It's a good book.
Very good book. Like, this section of the Dresden Files is a really good stretch of the series.
I think this is like, I feel maybe Deadbeat.
I think Deadbeat is the start of this really good run of books that doesn't stop until at the latest Ghost Stories, which is not to say that Ghost Stories is a bad book. It's just so different from the previous books.
Yeah, Ghost. I feel like you can
it's really
confidently
the start of
say
the second arc of Dresden Files.
I feel like Deadbeat to Changes is the rising action to climax of the first half of the series.
Yes, very much so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Because like I'm pretty sure it's planned to be like
23 books.
23
books.
23. Yeah. I think you can probably divide Dresden Files into 5 acts, roughly. You got the first act would probably be the first 6 books. Second act would be 7 through 12. Third act would be books 13 through 17. Fourth act would be the next several, and the fifth act is the big Apocalypse trilogy that Butcher has planned.
Or you could, I just don't bother. I just divide it into post and pre changes.
Yeah,
that's probably a good way to do it. Changes
I mean,
lives up to its
considering
name.
the fact that that's the book that breaks the naming convention, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it was intended to do.
Yeah, it is the midway point of the series, roughly, anyways. But yeah, moving on to White Knight
Oh,
then.
what? One last thing. Michael is telling Harry about what Molly's been up to since Harry basically ghosted the family because of the whole last shield situation. Um, Michael explains that Molly was arrested, possession, and Harry goes, "She was possessed." No, possession, marijuana, and ecstasy. It's just the fact that that's what Harry's life is like. That is a genuine possibility.
Fair. Why do you keep saying that? God, someone stop me. It's
To
not
be
like
fair.
it's not like Michael doesn't have to deal with his fair share of possessions.
Yeah,
So it is.
there could be a double meaning in his sigh before explaining is, oh, I wish it was an actual possession. That would have been easier for me to take care of.
Right? Because like he could just like wave his sword in the general direction of whatever was possessing her, and it would die.
Yeah. Anyway, yes, White Knight. White Knight. So quick summary. Practitioners are being hunted by a serial killer. Um, Harry tries to head it off, meeting a group of practitioners who have actually hired Elaine Mallory, Harry's former lover and sister? Question mark.
It's weird. Their relationship is weird.
Their relationship is real weird. As it turns out, it's one big plot inside the White Court of Vampires, which involves Thomas being a hidden jerk and Madrigal Wraith showing up, as well as the other two main houses of the White Court, Scavis and Malvora. Malvora feed on fear, Scavis feed on despair. I bet they've had a lot of business in the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
Harry eventually does figure out, who exactly is who, because he's not in the know at the start of the book by any stretch, and he eventually realizes that Grey Cloak, the Malvora, is Malvora and is working with Cowl from Deadbeat, because of course he didn't die. Why would he have died? And the member of House Scavis that was popping up was actually acting as I think the term was a shill for themselves, something like that. So what Harry does is he calls up Ramirez, basically with the help of Lara Wraith, storms into a meeting of the White Court to stop a coup. Unfortunately, Cowl shows up with a bunch of super ghouls, and I do mean super ghouls because those things don't die.
They do die, just not easily.
I'm not sure if they do, because I'm fairly sure it is like... I think what eventually kills them is a massive explosion. Nothing short of that kills them. Because even the ones that got, blasted to pieces started coming back together.
It's a whole from a single cell sort of deal.
Yeah. So yeah, Harry stops the coup along with help from Ramirez, Murphy, Marcone, and his goons. Lash sacrifices herself to protect Dresden's mind from a whammy, and they escape and survive. Hooray!
I'm pretty sure Cowell does summon outsiders at that point as well.
That would not be surprising.
I don't think he does
In
actually.
fact,
I don't think he.
Didn't he who walks behind show up?
I don't think so.
You're thinking of blood rights.
Yeah. I
Okay.
think you are. I think you are. I
To be
don't.
fair, Blood Rights and Proven and White Knight are both focused on the White Court. So.
Let me check. I'm fairly sure he doesn't show up in.
Just as a side note, it's my dog's dinner time, and I've given her food, and she's just like not eating it, and is instead compressed herself into some sort of dog sausage on the floor. And I don't know what to do about this.
So he who walks behind is mentioned in White Knight, but it's Lashiel telling Harry that he is an outsider. That's his only appearance. White Knight is another really good book that I absolutely adore, if only because of the duel at the end between Harry and Ramirez and Madrigal and Malvora.
Oh yeah. I just absolutely love it when the vampires realize how deep shit they're in and how much they are in over their head dueling two really skilled wizards.
It's also, this is kind of where this book is where cracks start to show in Harry's relationship with Ramirez.
No, honestly, I think this is actually where it solidifies properly. Because this is where he tells Ramirez about the Black Council. And the trust is there right up until Harry right up until changes. Let's say.
we don't talk about that here.
No.
It's like
we're gonna have a whole video just changes because it's that big of a book.
But like also, he does have some questions about how Harry is suddenly speaking fluent ancient Etruscan.
Yes, that probably doesn't help.
Which is just like.
That said,
I mean,
yeah. All that said, though, this book is hilarious.
Oh yeah.
Even more so than other Dresden books, because
we get the bit with Laura finding out, revealing that Carlos is a virgin, which is hilarious.
Yep.
Look, it wouldn't be funny if it wasn't for the fact that Ramirez, quite specifically, does not shut up about women.
Yeah. He tries to play himself off as a player.
Yep.
But there's other bits. There's one of my favorite lines in all of fiction, frankly, which is when Harry wakes up Bob. Harry goes, "Evil's afoot," and Bob goes, "Well, sure, because it refuses to learn the metric system. Otherwise, it'd be up to a meter by now."
I forgot that line existed, and I love it.
I fucking love that line so much. I love it so much. There's also the fact that when Harry goes to Thomas's apartment to try and look for him, and the building calls the cops, Harry has to pretend to be gay.
He has to pretend to be Thomas's lover. Yeah.
Though to be like, okay, I'm not gonna say those words again, but that is kind of, in hindsight, maybe not the most tasteful series of jokes. Because he does put on a very stereotype-based persona.
Again, it's the point. I think the point that is sort of the point. He is so flagrantly stereotypically gay that the security guard and cop who show up are like just flabbergasted.
Yeah. But yeah.
Wait. Do we learn that Thomas puts on the accent in this book?
Yes. Yeah, this is where we find out that Thomas.
This is the one where we find out he has actually been working as a hairdresser. Yes.
And that's how he's feeding now.
Yeah.
Which is
I mean, to be fair, it does help him not get his bones jumped, because the women who are attracted to him think, oh, it won't work because he's very clearly gay.
Yeah.
You know. Which works out for him.
What else? I mean, there's also the fact that the cops hit special investigations hears about it incredibly quickly.
I mean, it's not like they have anything better to do for the
Yeah.
most part.
Where the payoff to that is when Murphy and Harry do visit Marcone's high class brothel, and it's revealed that Harry has a lifetime membership, and Murphy's like, "What the fuck is this about?" And Harry just goes, "Don't ask me. I'm gay now."
I forgot that line was there as well. Though you have to admire Marky Mark's logic there.
Oh no, it's absolutely fantastic. And I will actually quote the line: "I am under no illusions about your fondness for myself and my business. I regard it as a preventative measure. In my judgment, my buildings are considerably less likely to burn to the ground during one of your visits if you are disorientated from being treated like a sultan."
Which is just a
And
great line.
And Murphy's just like, "Yeah, he's got a point."
Yeah,
And-
Harry did have a tendency
kind of
and a
stuff, bro.
reputation for burning down buildings at that point in the series.
To be fair, it wasn't entirely unearned, though it was also like not every burning building was his fault.
Yeah, the one at the
Yeah,
start
only,
of the one at the start of Blood Rights wasn't his fault. He said so.
Mm-hmm.
Also, yeah, there's some like, wait, is this the one where, because I know the lady from the first book, whose daughter got shot
Yes,
by
Helen
Marky
Beckett.
Mark.
Helen Beckett.
Yes.
Helen Beckett.
Is she, like, at this point in the series, is that revealed?
I don't think so.
Yes.
I don't believe so.
Because I'm fairly
I
sure.
Oh
I'm fairly
yeah,
sure
it
that
is.
at
It
the end
definitely
of the
is.
book,
She's the madam. She's the
at
madam of that
Yeah,
like workout
so-
place.
No,
So
I'm
when-
fairly sure at the end of the book, Harry walks in with them post-coitus, and Harry was like, just in his head, was
Post or
like,
pre? Post or pre? I feel like there's
post. I'm fairly
arguments.
sure post.
Okay.
Because I'm fairly sure he says, if I'd in his head, if I'd been 5 minutes earlier, this would have been so much more awkward.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
we also find
so-
out that Beckett's husband died in the intervening years between this book and book one.
What a surprise.
Yeah.
It's like convenient.
prison,
Yeah,
if I remember
it's just like, are we not going to talk about the fact that Marky Mark is currently banging the mother of the little girl he shot and put into a vegetative state? Because that's just a lot to unpack there.
It's not super kosher, no.
They are absolutely hate boning.
Oh, 100%.
100%.
No, yeah, there's no illusions about that. They are
Like,
100% hate boning.
I mean,
That's
we
the
will
whole
thing.
we will get into it in the next book because there is a closer examination of that relationship in Small Favor.
But yeah, we on the subject of like weird relationships, it's never really occurred to me until you said it just now. But Elaine is basically Harry's sister, huh?
Yeah, it's a little weird. It's a little weird.
And then they banged for a while.
They were basically just under the same caretaker. They didn't see each other as siblings. And they were both teenagers at the time.
Well,
I think
look,
I think they see themselves as siblings now that they've had time to reflect on their relationship.
Oh,
but
yeah,
like
no, they
if you
just
think
didn't
about
see-
it,
They were
there's
just
like,
horny teenagers. That's what led to them being together.
but like there's definitely a Dojin there somewhere. Like I feel like Harry and Elaine's relationship, there's definitely at least a triple-digit Dojins which have that exact plot progression.
Quit
I would not
making
be-
it about hentai.
It's always about hentai.
Oh, sorry. More hilarious lines.
Oh, speaking of hentai,
No, can we
cult
get
of
off
porn star
hentai?
sorceress. The cult of porn star sorceresses.
Yeah,
that line was so funny.
that line was good, and the fact that Molly had to verbally double take. Did you just say that? Yes. Fair enough.
Carry on.
No.
Carry on.
Again, another series like fantastic line just for the series in general, let alone the book itself. when Harry and Elaine investigate the water beetle and Thomas gets the drop on him, Thomas says, "Give it up. It's a good act, but I know you aren't Harry Dresden. There's no way the real Dresden would have come here with a woman like that instead of his dog." Now what the hell is that supposed to mean?
Yeah, I just love it. When Thomas roasts Harry, it's always great.
Yep.
Funnily enough, this is not even the last time that happens.
Yeah.
On this boat. We have not talked enough about Mouse.
I love Mouse so much.
Mouse is the best boy.
We did not talk about Mouse at all where is Mouse during Proven Guilty?
He is hanging around with Harry. He gets hit by Madrigal Wraith's van, shakes it off, and then tracks it down. He sits out the attack on Arctis Tor because he's staying with the Carpenter kids.
Because as we all know, the dog is more trustworthy with housekeeping than most of the humans in this series.
100%.
100%. He's the best protector.
And if nothing else,
he's the best boy.
Big cuddly dog is a good thing for traumatized kids to cuddle.
He's been described as a massive shag carpet.
Mm-hmm. Also,
a massive shag carpet who is probably capable of going one-on-one with a tank and winning.
Yeah,
100% capable of doing that. He has committed murder before.
Yeah, should point out that in White Knight is the book where it's revealed that Mouse was supposed to be taken for an X-ray on his shoulder to check that the damage from Proven Guilty had healed, but the paperwork got mixed up and they tried to neuter him. It did not go well. It did not go well.
Oh yeah.
I'm pretty sure they wouldn't be able to knock him out with any sort of anesthetics.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, definitely not. Oh, what's also another funny bit is when Harry is talking about Cal with Murphy and she doesn't know who that is, so he has to provide context. And it's like, you were out with your boy toy, Kincaid. Kincaid isn't a boy toy. He's a man toy. And then Molly just is reading a book at the time and drops it on her fucking face. Because she's distracted by the comment.
Does Kincaid show up in this book?
No.
No, he just
gets
mentioned.
Yeah.
And he gives Murphy a P90.
Yeah. There's also the fact that so one of the practitioners that Harry meets in this book has a dog that can there's supposedly to sense seizures, but she's only been diagnosed with epilepsy because of her talent as a practitioner. It's a very tiny dog that can get into
it's a Yorkie.
That can get into a pet carrier that can be attached to a suitcase, and pulled along. Mouse looks at this and then looks plaintively at Harry, hoping that he can get a ride as well. To which Harry's response is, "You've got to be kidding. I'd have to clip a railroad car to the suitcase and hire the Hulk to move it around. You're young and healthy. You walk."
I mean, it's his fault for carrying him around in his pockets when he was a baby.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I actually, funny enough, I have that same problem with my dog. She was a tiny little thing, so we used to carry her around everywhere, especially, like, up the stairs, because she wasn't so good with stairs, mainly because we have really steep stairs. And now she weighs 80 pounds, and she's still like,
Carry me.
Yeah.
And then when we're sitting on the couch, she just comes up to us and unceremoniously just sits on us. Just like drops her full 80 pounds on us, and it's just like, dogs do that. This is not unique to Mouse. This is just the thing that dogs do.
I know, it's still hilarious.
My brother's dog is also like that, I believe. Is that right?
Yes.
Is Snoopy like that?
Snoopy is very much like that. He believes he's still a lap dog.
No, the difference is that Mouse is like supernaturally intelligent, so he knows that it's not going to happen, and yet he tries anyway.
He's dog. He is still dog.
He is still dog, and also Mouse is very, very good at selective dogness, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, he's like more intelligent than a human being when he needs to be, but he also prefers to act like a normal dog most of the time because it gets him more treats.
Yeah.
Yeah, life's more fun when you're just a dog, right?
Yeah, it's like, he doesn't want to bother with any of the fancy stuff, but, like, if it comes down to it, I'm pretty sure he could 1v1 a dragon.
Yeah. One of my favorite Mouse moments happens during changes, and I can't wait till we get to it.
Oh, I love that. That's one of my favorite
moments. Yeah, you know the moment
period.
I'm talking about, yeah.
I definitely know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
All right. We should also talk about the absolutely fantastic entrance that Harry makes in this book. Because
which one?
He's very proud of himself for that, if I remember correctly.
The one at the Deeps, where he's basically been told by Lara, look, you'll know when to make your entrance. And then I think Malvora basically says something like, who is going to take us to task on this? And Harry just goes, well, if that isn't a straight line, my name isn't Harry whatever Dresden.
He just straight up plays it up, like slams the door open. It's like he goes full WWE up in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, and
his name is John Cena.
He makes a fucking red carpet of fire.
Yep.
The only thing that was missing was soundtrack playing his theme song.
Yeah.
Because like at this point he's not as
okay, and
because like at this point it's established that Harry's not so good at the illusion magic yet.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I guarantee you he would absolutely be blasting a theme song of some sort wherever he went. Because that is something that illusion magic can do.
Yeah. The other thing that it gives cause to another hilarious line, this time from Lord Wraith of all people, because, hey, Malvora and Madrigal are not happy about having to face off against two Wardens of the White Council, especially considering one is Harry.
Mm-hmm.
And Wraith basically goes, unless, of course, our war heroes here lack the courage to withstand this utterly predictable response to their course of action.
Yeah,
he has a point there.
Like you fucked around, now find out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Though I will say, was that Wraith talking or was that Laura talking? Because it might have been Laura talking.
It very possibly
is
Lara speaking through Lord Wraith. Yeah.
Yes, at this point, because at this point,
she has dominance over him. Yes.
Lara has her. She is like elbow deep up Wraith's butt and using him as a puppet.
Yeah.
Yeah. She already raped him.
Yes, and considering what their family is like, I wouldn't be surprised if she was literally elbow deep up in Lord Wraith at some point.
She's at the very least elbow deep in his brain, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like she's been elbow deep in a few places.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of
places. That gives me some scary thoughts.
Yes,
I can only think of one where you would be elbow deep.
Oh, that just means you're not creative enough.
Oh, no. No, I am creative enough. I just didn't want to go there.
Anyway, as we've said, the duel is just it's
amazing.
It's a fantastic show of actual magic, because a lot of the time Harry very rarely gets into straight out duels via magic. Because he knows that most of the people he will come up against, he will lose those duels incredibly quickly.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah. Harry either is punching way up or punching way down.
Yeah.
There's usually never a situation where he's relatively evenly matched against the person he's fighting.
Yeah. This time
what's
we
awesome
actually
about the fight, I think. Sorry to interrupt, but what's awesome about the fight, I think, is that you kind of get a good sizing up of Ramirez in terms of what his power is in relation to Dresden, in the sense that, like, in terms of magical horsepower, just pure magical power, he's got a lot less than Dresden, but he's got so much more fine control over it.
Yeah, he
Also,
uses his power
he's a
a
water
lot
boy.
more. He uses his power a lot more efficiently than Harry. And yes,
Exactly.
he fucking
And he's a water boy.
Yeah, he just uses erosion as his power.
I mean, it's honestly like the way he uses his power is so fucking cool. That disintegration ray or whatever is amazing.
Yeah.
He basically just he's a very interesting look at a more non-traditional use of water magic.
Yeah,
relative to what you generally see in fantasy, because like in fantasy,
he's incredibly creative.
Oh, God damn it! Yes, here you go. Here's your ball. Yeah. Yes, my dog was yelling because she accidentally threw the ball behind the couch and she couldn't reach it.
Tell her she's a good girl.
But she's always a good girl.
But
except when she's, trying to eat my croissants. I don't tell her, I just give her belly rubs instead.
Well, dogs like verbal praise too.
But yeah, there's also another line or another bit of dialogue that I absolutely adore, where during the duel, Ramirez gets hit in the leg by a throwing knife, and then afterwards, when he's holding off the ghoul, he gets hit in the guts by another throwing knife, and it's only when he's getting basically carried out of there that he realizes and just goes, "Bloody hell, Harry! There's a knife in my leg. When did that happen? In the duel? Don't you remember? I thought you stepped on me and sprayed my ankle." Looks down. "Bloody hell! There's a knife in my guts." And they match.
Ramirez is great. I love Ramirez.
You know what's funny? I remember that there's actually a very funny thing where Harry just during the duel talks about the horrific impracticality of throwing knives.
Yeah.
Yes, Biscuit. I'm getting the ball. You don't have to yell.
Yes,
you're a good girl, Biscuit.
The horrible impracticalities of throwing knives, unless you've had a few centuries to practice, and have superhuman strength behind them.
Yes, and have supernatural strength, and more importantly, fine motor control and dexterity.
Yeah.
Remember, throwing knives are a dex weapon, not a strength weapon. But yeah, the duel is fun. We also get like the first introduction to Harry's force ring.
Yep.
Oh yeah,
which is basically it's one of my favorite parts of his arsenal. Actually,
it's probably my favorite because it actually not only does it charge up while he walks, but he can also speed up the charging by literally just punching a punching bag.
Yeah.
Which he's said he's done in the past. And if he were to deck out in like 8 force rings, like one on each of his fingers, he would be unstoppable for however long those charges last.
Yeah. So the thing I like about the force ring is that. So I want to talk about a little bit, because this is a great place to talk about it. The relationship. Yes. Now, there you go. Here's your ball. I want to talk about the relationship that wizards generally have with both the human world and the magical world, because they're kind of the bridge. Because they are very much mortal. They're perhaps differently mortal, but they're very much mortal, and they have free will, and they kind of...
They're still squishy.
Can interfere, but at the same time, they do have access to phenomenal cosmic power.
Yes.
And DC has living space. But it shows in a lot of their magic... They have to, if not follow the laws of physics, at least account for the laws of physics. Right? Like, when a wizard uses fire magic, for example, it's not necessarily they're just making heat out of nothing. The heat does come from somewhere. Things like that.
Yes.
Right? Like, they have to, when they're using...
I mean, that's put into practice in this book probably more than any other, when Harry uses a fire spell to take the heat out of Lake Michigan to create an ice sheet that they can walk over.
Right, and that's the thing, is that, like, they have to a certain extent, follow some of the laws of thermodynamics. And it's like, that's not really something you see with the purely magical beings. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, the purely magical beings have their own limitations. So it's kind of like the wizards are very much creatures that walk on the line between two worlds. And that's a very interesting dynamic, because, like, a lot of the time, wizards tend to be very firmly on one side or the other. Mm-hmm. But you don't see a story where they walk the line just so... like, they are so on the edge.
Mm-hmm. And then you have wizards at different levels. You have some wizards that are very much more on the human side, where they just haven't learned much. They're still, I guess you could say, small fry. And then you have other wizards, like, you know, the Gatekeeper, or up at that level, that are just, like, almost godlike powerful. But they're still like, mortal. At their root, they're still human. They're still mortal.
And that's a very interesting power dynamic that creates.
Yeah. And the power scaling, I think, is beautiful. Like, the way that it's scaled from the lowest to the highest, I think is pretty well proportionate.
I will say that Butcher has actually commented on some of the power level stuff, and there is one thing where I feel like he oversimplified the answer. And that is, someone asked, like, what would it take to take down Mab? And when he talked about a bunch of comparison points, but he said that it would take the entire White Council, every single wizard on the White Council, plus Mab's true name, for them to be able to take down Mab. But what he didn't say in that is that would only be in a theoretical scenario where they're both operating at full power. And the thing is, wizards are very good at punching up and kind of wiggling around the rules and the loopholes. So theoretically...
I think it might be in the Dresden Files book somewhere, but there's the comparison made to Batman, where if they have that time to prepare, they can be fucking unstoppable.
Yeah.
Yes, because
the point is that wizards are best when they prepare, and they try not to get into... Most of them try not to get into fights that they know they can't win. Harry is very much the exception to that, in that he will throw himself into a fight regardless of whether he actually thinks he can win or not.
Yeah, and he just gets lucky most of the time.
But even Harry does have the ability to change the battlefield on the fly, or, like, at least over the course of a few days, change the circumstances enough that he can squeak out a win. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of just what the wizards are in total.
They're good at improvising too. It's not just planning, it's good at improvising as well. If you're good at both, you'll be a very successful wizard.
But yeah, it's like it's heavily implied that while, yes, in an all-out duel, it would take the entire White Council knowing Mab's name to beat her, I'm pretty sure any given member of the Senior Council could find a way to kill Mab.
Oh, they're much more likely to lay a trap for her, and yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, they would find a way to turn the advantage in their direction.
Yes, I'm pretty sure any given member of the Senior Council has a decent shot at killing Mab, but they couldn't beat her in a fight, and that's kind of what wizards are in this universe. They can't necessarily beat you in a fight, but they can absolutely murder you.
They're like a Vorpal sword.
But yeah, that kind of I feel especially with the introduction of the lower tier practitioners in this book, I feel like it's a good place to talk about the whole power dynamics of wizardry. It's much more fascinating than a lot of people give Butcher credit for. Right?
Yeah,
Like
and
it's much
the fun part and also kind of the fucked up part in the story is that it's a pretty high bar to get into the White Council and to have their protection. And like to see like, the upper limits of what that I guess you can call the lower tier, the upper limits of that lower tier that doesn't get into the White Council is actually still pretty damn powerful.
And especially when they're working together. It is very much stated that wizards working together are not as simple as 1+1 = 2, right?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. It
Two
can be an
wizards-
exponential growth of power.
Yeah, two wizards working together is not necessarily equivalent to two separate wizards shooting off spells.
Yeah.
And that's their advantage.
And they talk about that their wards and everything are built kind of like a brick type of wall, a brick house.
We actually get that. We get that much later. That is like not until Ghost Story.
Well, I guess it is okay to talk. It's not necessarily a spoiler, but the way that they do spells is much more. It's like they kind of collaborate on each and every section of it. Whereas if it's a single wizard working on a single ward, then it's more like a solid steel wall rather than a brick type of wall. If you catch my meaning.
Yes, no, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. But it can still be just as powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And it's important to note that for the most part, it doesn't matter whether you're hit in the head with a steel ingot or a brick, you'll probably still get a concussion.
Exactly.
Yep.
Especially if they catch you unawares.
That's the magic. That's what the real magic is. You got to be smart about when and how you apply the force that you have.
Anyway, we've gotten well off topic here.
Well, it's Dresden adjacent, and it's not like we have a separate podcast to talk about the out of book things about the Dresden world.
I mean,
I'm caught up on the.
Yeah, I'm sure at some point we will just discuss the world.
That's a fair point. Yeah.
What I want to talk about is the whole dynamic with Harry and Laura throughout this book, especially towards the end where Harry is just thoroughly done with all the White Court bullshit and rattles off a list of demands towards Laura, capping it off with some Listerine. I've got a funny taste in my mouth because she kissed him earlier in an earlier scene not too long ago, and she just is absolutely pissed at that point.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that it's almost, funnily enough, the dynamic between Harry and Laura is almost the opposite of Harry's dynamic with most other people, because I'm pretty sure in a straight fight, like in a duel situation, Harry would absolutely smoke her. Right?
It would be a pretty even fight. It really depends on who got the first move.
Well, again, like I'm saying, in a duel situation where they're both like going into it aware, but at the same time, Lara is much better at the whole plotting and manipulation part of things than Harry ever will be.
I mean that's the thing. If Lara ends up in a duel with Harry, then she has done something wrong. Because the whole and this is emphasized greatly in this book. The whole point of the White Court is that if it ends up in a straight out duel, then the White Court member in the duel has failed because they work through cat's paws and proxies.
Yes, and the funny thing.
And that's
Go ahead.
the fuck up that the two chuckle fucks that Harry and Ramirez duel. That's their fuck up. They do.
And I think that's the thing that makes Harry so difficult for the White Court to deal with. He is very direct. If he knows the White Court is the problem, he will just go break into their compound and start setting things on fire. Right?
Yep.
That's the thing that makes him so difficult for the White Court to deal with, is like, he doesn't care about the cat's paws and proxies. If he figures out that the source is the White Court, he's not gonna engage in a proxy war. He's just gonna walk up to their gates and break the doors down.
Start raising hell.
The other thing is that he does it they expect him to come all guns blazing, but he will do it, but in such a clever way that they don't expect it.
Yeah, he's.
Like
they expect him to be completely brain dead. He's not.
They expect him to go in guns blazing rather than him to waltz in and lay out some crime charges at the feet of the perpetrators and challenge them to a duel to the death.
Yeah.
He has that like certain way of thinking that's like so very human, but also so out of the box that it's just like no supernatural foe has been able to expect what Harry's thinking, even when they think they know what's going on.
That's actually probably the single best point, is even the ones that are close to human or were human have forgotten what it's like to be human and think like a human being.
Mm-hmm. And that's the advantage that wizards have, I think. In
wizards, like Harry specifically, because a lot of wizards have also forgotten what it's like to be a human being. Right?
True.
Well, I think the other thing is that Harry does not think like a wizard.
Yes, he thinks like a regular person.
He thinks like a wizard, and then he goes, That's what they're gonna think I'm gonna do, so I'm gonna do this instead. Because he very specifically says, he goes out of his way to go, look, wizards are squishy. That's why I'm gonna carry a gun. Because they're going to expect me to stand there just firing off spells. They're not going to expect me to come up close, pull out a gun, and fire.
I do want to bring up a bit from the short stories, just because
I love that.
So
I love that one so much.
Oh, the fucking one from.
Let me say it. So, in one of the short stories, we have a bunch of dumbass minor practitioners who pester Harry for a good bit, and eventually they actually run across each other, and one of the fuckwits challenges Harry to a duel, and Harry pulls out his fucking magnum, and when the idiot is like, wait, why are you getting out, what's with the gun? And Harry responds, I'm a fixin' to defend myself.
Yeah.
It is very much Indiana Jones. Right? That is, I have no doubt.
That's like, that's so much like the fucking sword scene.
Yeah, the sword versus where Indy just shoots the dude. That's like, I have guarantee you that's what Butcher was thinking of when he wrote that scene.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past Harry to be thinking of that when he... Because I'm sure he's watched Indiana Jones. He likes those movies.
Yeah.
Oh, I would not be surprised.
Not as much as Star Wars, but he definitely likes those movies. And I'm like,
it's Harrison Ford still, so you know.
Yes, I feel like that is what Harry is. Very Harrison Ford.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
To the point that I would actually, now that I think about it, a young Harrison Ford is kind of a perfect casting choice for Harry Dresden, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Too bad Harrison Ford is too old now.
Not tall enough.
And also almost certainly wouldn't take the job. Even a young Harrison Ford...
He hates that magic voodoo shit.
Even a young Harrison Ford would not have taken that job. The fact that he's gotten such a prolific career as an actor is frankly insane, considering how much he seems to hate acting.
Mm-hmm.
No, he just hates acting in roles that aren't based as much in reality. I don't remember what made him pick Han Solo, but he hates that he's famous for Han Solo.
No, he prefers to be
famous for Indiana Jones. Han Solo and Deckard Cain, and those are both hardcore sci-fi.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know. I just know he's not really a fan of being famous for Han Solo.
I just cannot get the Star Wars Connect Han Solo song out of my head now.
Oh God, no! Please don't. We are continuing.
Han Solo.
No, we are continuing. I will mute all of you. Don't test me.
Whoa. We got an authoritarian dictator on our hands. He's trying to silence the people.
I've remembered.
He is British.
He is British. True.
I've remembered that I have this power and I will wield it.
Well, I'll just have to dump all your tea in the harbor.
So Vito Malvora summons a bunch of super ghouls. And you know what Harry's response is? To basically bring in Marcone and a bunch of fucking gangsters to just shoot the shit out of everything.
Mm-hmm. Which is like a surprisingly effective solution, and that's actually something that is brought up more in later books, but it is very much stated that given enough time and awareness, a human army just with like guns and stuff could absolutely hold their own in a war against supernatural forces.
So here's the thing,
and you do find that out later.
This is referencing a little bit from the next book, but Harry does even think that actually the problem that he's dealing with in the next book, that could easily be dealt with by a bunch of cops or military personnel. The only issue is the fact that they would be basically going in blind to the supernatural aspect and would panic.
Right, as like it's pretty established that once humans get used to the supernatural aspect, they can hold their own pretty well.
As is very much shown in this book. The only reason they get pushed back is because the superghouls don't fucking die.
No. But I will say, and I think we've talked about it before, but one of the main reasons that the supernatural world kind of stays in the shadows in the Dresden universe
is because they don't want to deal with humans.
If all of humanity knew about them and were aware of them, they would probably be eradicated, no matter how powerful they were. Because humans got numbers.
Because look, as
and
tough,
firepower, nukes.
Yeah. As tough as anything, as any supernatural being is, they don't deal well with nukes.
No, nukes are like.
We find out about that in book 11, which we will talk about in the next.
Yeah,
but it's not just nukes. Like, especially with modern technology, you could probably just drone strike them, and they wouldn't be able to deal with that very well.
Yeah, and with modern espionage and everything too, like just the tactics that humans have, and like the developments we made in not only combat but like outside of combat, information gathering, intelligence, and all that. Like,
and
also they just wouldn't be able to keep up with technology too.
Here's the thing: Ebenezer basically drops a bomb on Casa Verde and Duke Ortega.
It's not a bomb, it's more
orbital
of an
strike.
Orbital strike. Yes, it's an orbital strike, yeah.
I mean, yes, he drops a fucking satellite on it, but effectively it is akin to a bomb strike.
High explosive, yes. No, that is absolutely something that could be achieved
like a carpet bombing.
It is absolutely something that could be achieved with a drone strike.
Yeah.
And that's enough to kill a vampire duke, which are pretty high up in the vampire hierarchy.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, Ortega is... God, how old is Ortega?
Ortega's a conquistador,
he's a conquistador.
Yeah, he was
early
a conquistador, so that would have been 1500s, so that's probably like 600, 700 years old. 600 years old. 600 years old, around.
Yeah, early 1500s.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's like very much a situation where the masquerade is not necessarily just for shits and giggles. The masquerade is there because if the masquerade wasn't there, there's a non-zero chance that the humans win that war.
Yeah.
There's actually a pretty good chance the humans win that war. Because while
I'd say it's above 50%.
Yes, they have like they have the better odds.
Look, they almost certainly would win against the against supernatural beings that live out in, the human world, and the ones in the Never Never have no reason to try and take on the humans, because if they do, and if they take out enough humans, they start losing power.
Yep.
Also, I'm pretty sure
a lot of them do depend on humans.
And also, I'm pretty sure while conventional weaponry can't kill a god in this universe, they can injure them enough that they'd have to go into dormancy.
Yeah.
It depends on God and the level they're at. Like, if you try to pull that shit against like Faravax or Hades or Mab, it wouldn't really work.
No, I'm pretty sure if you nuke Mab, she would not.
Still would.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if you nuke Mab, she would not be able to function for at least a few centuries.
Even the most powerful villain
we've seen,
like the up-to-date books, who I will not name, even that villain would be susceptible to a fucking nuke or two. Like,
I don't know how long it would take for Mab or Titania to reconstitute themselves after taking a nuke, but it wouldn't take centuries. It would take would take a while though.
It would take long enough that they could essentially stunlock her.
Yeah, it would probably take at least several days, if not weeks or months.
No,
think about this.
I would not put it in the scale of days. I would say decades at least.
Think about this though. If humanity was aware of this shit, think he would be working alongside them. Probably the White Council, and they got a lot of knowledge, so they'd be able to kind of teach your average human how to deal with that shit.
I feel like, and I also feel like if they put the entire resources and manpower of like even one major government behind like magical weapons research, give them a few decades and I'm pretty sure they could reliably figure out a way to kill a god.
Yeah, especially America or Russia. Like,
yes, or China.
We love our fucking weapons.
But again, the point is that they will very very purposefully not do this, to not even,
risk it at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why we went so in depth on that, but that is the long and short of why the supernatural world in the Dresden Files do not fuck with humans.
which is what makes
on a large scale.
Yeah, which is what
on a large scale, yeah. On a small scale, they'll fuck them up in an alley, but like, yeah.
Which is what makes it all the more important that the end result of this book is that Marcone signs on to be a freeholding lord of the Accords.
Yeah, because he helps keep it a little secret for them.
Yeah.
But also because he has the power and capabilities to hold that piece of land.
Yes.
We should talk about how huge it is that a fucking vanilla mortal is signing on to the Ancillary Accords.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's gone over more in later books, but like we should talk about it, just what it means right now.
So the Ancillary Accords are, if I remember correctly, a combination of the Geneva Council and the United Nations.
Yes.
In a way,
Geneva Convention. Yes, essentially.
They were, as far as we know, they were more or less written by Mab.
They were just written by Mab.
They were explicitly Mab was the major sponsor. Yes.
Yeah.
Basically, she said, "Hey, everyone sign this, or else," and everyone was like, "Okay."
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, there were a few factions that just saw the wisdom in signing it, because like they are like there's plenty. Mab is not without equals, right? There are plenty of factions that are equal to the Fey courts, and those factions were like, escalation's probably a bad idea. Let's keep it clean.
Yeah.
It's like the equivalent or a similarity between like Thomas Jefferson and the Founding Fathers, where he may have penned the Declaration of Independence and everything there, but he was a part of a whole. There were a lot of people in support of that idea. Is that
that's a good way to put it, because I'm pretty sure a certain Scandinavian security company CEO probably had a heavy hand in it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it wasn't just Mab that was putting forward the Ancillary Accords. I think she was just one to kind of like pen most, if not all of it.
And I think the reason she can get away with that is because contracts in the Fae, right?
Exactly.
Like
They're
they go
very
hand
good
in
at
hand.
contract and
They're very
agreements.
good at
They're
contract law.
that stuff. Yeah.
They're also
they know how
very
to. They know
brave.
They
everything about.
literally they come out of the womb with a bachelor's or a like master's degree in contract law.
No, they come out of the womb with a law degree.
Yes, absolutely. Actually, do we know how Fae reproduce? I know how the halflings reproduce, but like, do Fae
Pretty sure-
reproduce sexually?
Yeah,
I believe
as far
so.
as we know.
Yeah, but
We
like,
know
do they
that,
have pregnancies and stuff, or do they kind of just like spit out a seed or something? Because like Fae are heavily plant-based.
I think they
I'm pretty
have
sure Maeve is
pregnancies.
explicitly Mad's
Well, no,
daughter,
but they're yeah, but they're
biologically.
yes, but previously like, it's I'm talking about the pure Fae, the ones who were never human in the first place.
Are there any?
I think they can still reproduce sexually. I do, however, think that they like have some sort of control over like when they get pregnant. Like they don't need birth control because they can do it themselves.
And I don't think they need pregnancy either. I think they can just like splort out the baby.
We're
Maybe
getting really
I don't
lost in the
know.
weeds.
There's not a whole lot said about it.
Okay, but I
so
have a
don't
very
think it's worth
important
talking
question.
about much.
Oh god.
I have a very important
Do we-
question.
No. Is this question
What is-
actually important, or is it just going to be another weird question?
It's not sexual.
Are you absolutely sure about that?
Yes, I am absolutely sure it's not sexual.
Damn, I'm usually the one that gets asked these kinds of questions.
So, the Fae are very nature spirit adjacent. They're like, a lot of them are like plant based, right?
Kinda.
Several of them are, yeah.
Nature
So if you-
based, we'll say.
Yes. So if you eat a Fae, is it vegan?
Oh. That's a rare question.
I think the answer to that would be. I think the answer to that would be, you don't eat the fairies eat you.
I'm pretty sure there's plenty of creatures that are capable of eating fairies.
Not any that have a concept of veganism.
Sorry, I had to mute myself. That was a good question, Fuzzy.
Yes, thank you. I'm sure there's been a vegan dragon at some point in history.
I don't.
So yeah, that about covers White Knight.
I mean,
More
I've
or
got
less.
And a whole lot of other bullshit that we managed to get into.
I've got one more funny line from this book. Well, it's an exchange between Harry and Marcone, where Harry basically opens his end of book talk with Marcone with, "Tonight you will be visited by three spirits, the ghosts of indictment past, present, and future. They will teach you the true meaning of 'you are still a scumbag criminal.'" To which Marcone responds, "Dresden, it's nice to see you alive. Your sense of humour, of course, remains unchanged, which is unsurprising as it seems to have died in your adolescence. Presumably, it entered into a suicide pact with your manners."
Those two are
Look,
so great. I love the way that they banter.
I don't like Marky Mark, but he has a very good sense of humor.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just the dry wit is just great.
The dry wit across the series is really good.
Oh,
As
and
opposed to
I
Harry,
said it
who's
before and
very
I'll say it
much
again. I can't wait till we get to the later books to see like how Marcone develops because he does develop very well as a character.
So yeah, there's dry wit all across the board, and then there's Harry's just sloppy, dripping wet sense of humor.
there's also the fact that Marcone manages to shock Harry speechless and gloats about it.
Yeah, that too.
When was that?
That was in this book, when Beckett is revealed to be the head of the brothel.
Oh, right. And the when they talk about the hate boning, yes.
Yeah, and Mark Owen
Yeah.
is basically like, I'm simply savoring the moment. If you really knew the man, you'd appreciate how rare this is.
Yeah.
And he's shocked, speechless. Yeah, but
Yeah,
I think it was
my
more he was shocked because of disgust than surprise.
No,
But who
this
uh,
knows?
isn't the sex bit. This is just the reveal that Helen Beckett and Helen Demita are the same person.
also, can we just talk about the fact that, despite the fact that Marky Mark has just, done the frick frack, the pillow talk he engages in is with Dresden, not Beckett.
Hmm.
Which just encapsulates that entire dynamic perfectly.
Yeah. It's kind of like the Vegeta Goku
Yes, no,
rivalry,
very
where
much
there's definitely some sexual tension in there.
like the. But yeah, that is absolutely something there. Though also we've been going for a while now,
Yes, we have. I
so
just
it
realized it's past
it
7 here.
yeah, it do be time for us to roll out, I think.
Yeah,
What time even is it over in England right now, Mill?
3:15 in the morning.
Jesus!
Damn.
Wow. You did this for us. I appreciate that, man.
I do this every fucking week.
Mm-hmm.
At this
Doesn't
point,
change the fact
at
that I
this
appreciate it, man.
at this point, at this point, this is just my schedule.
It do be like that.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
at this point, I'm just on an American sleep schedule. Like, it's not like I'm like having to force myself to stay awake. I'm just awake.
That just proves to you that America runs the world, right?
No.
Oh no, that proves that America is the most self-centered country.
Hmm.
I mean, you're not entirely wrong.
Look, I'm
It
still
just
mad about what your truckers are doing in my capital.
What? Oh, I don't even know about that.
Well, we'll talk about it after the stream. But yeah, I think we can wrap up now, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you, Mill, for completely North Americanizing your sleep schedule. Thank you, Dylan, and for joining us. And thank you, Jack. And watch out, he's got a knife. Bye bye, everyone.
Yep.
Tune in tomorrow
Later.
for more D&D.
And then
Yay, fun times.
yay. But yeah, we will see you next time. Bye bye.
Good night.